A quick little video here now on an approach to the discursive essay. So the discursive essay is asked regularly on paper one. Don't forget the composition of paper one has always been our version of your history special research topic or your art project. It's huge weighting of marks towards this particular section. In a normal year, 25%. This year, I think it's 32% of the overall mark is based on your success in this section. So we know about personal essays, we know about short stories, we know about speeches, but the discursive essay comes up a lot as well, okay? So here's 2020, write a discursive essay about our changing relationship with machines and the rise of artificial intelligence. Here's 2019, write a discursive essay about some of the items you think symbolise the values held by people of your age in Ireland in 2019. That was a tough old question, that one. 2018, write a discursive essay in which you consider the subject of leaders and leadership, much nicer. 2017, write a discursive essay, in which you explore the positive and negative aspects of different types of advertising. Again, very particular, would suit some people, other people not at all. 2016, there was no discursive title, but there was this question. Where is it now? That's not it. Oh yeah, this one here. Write a persuasive essay entitled "The Three Greatest Achievements in Human History." Now, it does say persuasive, and that means like kind of to be biased, and you're talking about language of persuasion. But I mean, there's an element of discursive writing there as well, because you're going to have an opinion and you're going to back that opinion up with evidence, okay? However, the reason that differs from the previous essays is when it says discursive essay, the one particular thing we're looking for is balance. So there they want positive and negative aspects, okay? Here, they want you to talk about leaders and leadership, and because it's discursive, they want you to give examples of, negative and positive impact of leaders and leadership. Obviously, you could bring in everything from Hitler and Churchill, to, the best teacher you ever had to the worst teacher you ever had. There's loads of things you could bring in there. This one here was asking about the values, items that symbolise values of young people. And of course, you would mention maybe consumerism and materialism on the one hand, but you could also mention kind of friendship and loyalty on the other. And again, you're talking about balance, 2020, machines and the rise of artificial intelligence have greatly improved the quality of our lives, but they also, threaten us and, our possibility of employment and our freedom of action and will. There's a lot of concern about that kind of stuff when it comes to AI, privacy. So again, you're looking for balance, okay? So there's a discursive title most years. I think a lot of people avoid them because they can be quite particular. But if you are looking at a discursive essay, here's some of the things to think about, okay? I like this illustration. I think it's brilliant because it's about different perspectives. And I think that's what a discursive essay has to have. It has to have balance, and it has to look at the topic from different perspectives. Now, you can definitely have, in language of argument, you definitely have a point of view. You definitely have a thesis. You definitely have, a central point that you're making in your essay. For example, leaders and leadership it's a vital part of human community. We need leaders. However, you can then break it down. Leadership has brought us forward, but it's also held us back, and that kind of thing. You're looking for balance. So I'll go through this. I'll try to keep this video quite short. So a discursive essay involves discussion. Okay? In simple terms, that means looking at a topic from different perspectives. So again, if you're all sitting around as a group and you're thinking about leadership, you're going to have different opinions. And the idea of a discursive essay is that you show an ability to look at these different opinions and then kind of form a consensus or a point of view. Really what we're looking for when we're writing these essays, and of course this applies across your paper 1 and 2, is originality and freshness. And what we're looking for here is a lively and thought-provoking discussion. So we're not looking for the right answer. There is no right answer. These are kind of by their very nature kind of philosophical exercises. You're thinking about something and you're trying to tease it out, but you're doing it in a kind of a logical, organized way. And what we want you is, again, not to be boring, not to be, cliched, not to be hackneyed. And even if you draw on kind of obvious sources of evidence to make your points, that the way you make your point and, the way you express yourself is you speaking. This is not a formal speech. It's not a personal essay necessarily. It's kind of a mixture between the two. 2020 exam, there's that question about the relationship with machines and the rise of artificial intelligence. And I just want to break down the marking scheme instructions. They never change year on year, but what you need to remember if you're writing a discursive essay. So, of course, purpose is key. So here, they obviously say, look, you have to answer the bloody question. It has to be about relationship between machines and human beings. It has to be about the rise of AI and how that's changed and is changing. So in other words, answer the fucking question. We know that, okay? That's easy. But then within purpose, it says understanding of genre. And this is where I think this is nearly more important. Like if you don't answer the question, like boo-hoo for you, I have absolutely no sympathy for you. If I ask you like to come out for a game of hurling and you come out and you start playing football, I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'm really sorry if I was unclear. But so in other words, you're going to answer the specifics of the question or you're going to score badly. But then within that, the big aspect of purpose that people go wrong is they don't display an understanding of genre. So don't forget, genre, there are 5 genres of language prescribed for study for the Leaving Cert: argument, persuasion, information, narrative, and aesthetic. And what the marking scheme is saying to the examiner is, look, this is a language task. If this kid has picked this question, but they don't display an understanding of this genre of writing, well, they can't score well. It's not purposeful. So in this case, this is the language of argument. And what does that mean? Well, that means making sure that your work is filled with facts. Very important. Now, this list and the order of things in this list, I didn't write this list and I didn't put it in this order. This is written by the Chief Examiner for English and it was put in this order in the marking scheme. If you don't believe me, go and look at it on examinations.ie. So they're looking for factual information. So you can't spoof your way through these essays. They're looking for references. Now, how is that different from factual information? It's not really references, but it's just broader. You look at number 3, they're looking for arguments and counter arguments. So again, both sides, that's in the marking scheme. There must be an element of balance in the essay. A variety of views and opinions. Again, number 3 and 4 are interchangeable. So they're looking for balance. They're looking for your ability to look at the topic from different perspectives. Illustrations and analysis, again, 5 and 6. Illustrations obviously are explanations. Analysis, that's analytical thinking. So that's what, normally when I say take the RIC rules, relevant, informed, clear, and contextualize. Contextualize is to really think about how the point you're making and the evidence you're providing is relevant to the topic under discussion, and that's what they're looking for. Okay? Don't just, say things, explain them in the light of the question. Of course, relevant. And then, of course, the magic one, originality and freshness. What the hell does that mean, originality and freshness? Well, it means that we're looking for work which is really, thoughtful, carefully planned, not drawing on cliched information, that is evidence-based and original. What does original mean? It means it comes from you, not half-understood ideas that you're kind of regurgitating because you don't want to think for yourself. In terms of coherence of delivery, the marking scheme's instructions say the work should be successfully shaped, developed and sustained, and there should be sequencing and managing of ideas. So what does that mean? It means plan your work, think before you write, don't spoof. You all know what spoofing means, right? Making it up as you go along. There should be logic, there should be reason, there should be a structured answer, and what am I looking for? An engaging opening, evidence-based paragraphs, continuity links between the paragraphs to get a sense of flow, and a satisfactory resolution, which is not over long, but which links back to the overall point in the essay. That's what planning is. And don't forget, as I keep on saying to you, you shouldn't be really thinking about the point you're making while you're writing. Before you write each paragraph, you should have a clear understanding in your mind of the point that you want to make in that paragraph and how that relates to the evidence that you plan to use. And again, this year, above all years, you have the time to think like that. The only thing you really should be thinking of when you're writing is the clarity of your expression and the structure of your paragraph. Then, of course, language. And they mentioned in the marking scheme, style, clarity, vocabulary, syntax, and punctuation. The translation is, look, this is higher level English. There is a basic expectation that you can express your points in a grammatically correct controlled style. So again, this is where a lot of students get very frustrated. Over the years, I'm doing this a very long time now, and you come across brilliant students, like really hardworking, excellent levels of understanding, no problem grasping the kind of more complex or abstract ideas of the subject, but you know they're going to get a H4, and you know the reason they're going to get a H4 is because their language skills are limited. They struggle greatly to express themselves, and this is an English exam. You know, if you're doing French or German or Italian, you're not saying, well, you're not arguing about the fact that if your expression is weak, you're not going to score as well as if your expression is strong. So, at this stage, there's very little one can do about this, but for me, you have time, write slowly, write methodically, make sure you reread your work so that it makes sense. Okay, so that's language. And then mechanics, just be careful with your spelling, remembering that you have to make 4 distinct and separate spelling mistakes in order to be deducted 1 mechanics mark. So, it's not too bad. And there are 10 mechanics marks available here. So when you're looking at your discursive essay, here's my advice. Do a brainstorm. Think really carefully before you begin to write. Then limit yourself to maybe 5 or 6 good points in your essay. Don't try and make too many points in your essay. 5 or 6 good points well made. It's like a menu. If you go to a restaurant and the menu has 58 things on it, I'm not staying in that. I don't want to go to a restaurant where there's 58 things on the menu. And the reason is because, that's a lot of things for anybody to prepare properly and to make nice and tasty. So if I'm going to a restaurant, I want there to be very few things on the menu, so I know that they're really concentrating on producing those few things really well. So the same with you. I'm looking for 5 or 6 really good points developed out in your essay. And of course, those points will have balance. Thinking about the sequence. There should be a logic. Like if you're making 1 point and then you move on to the next point, there should be a logical movement between why you might move on to the next point from that point. There should be connections. That's continuity and sequencing. That's mentioned in the marking scheme. There should be some sort of impactful opening. Maybe open with a quote, maybe open with an anecdote, open with something which is not perfunctory or predictable. Okay? And most importantly, write really slowly, write really deliberately, reread at the end of each paragraph or section, because you don't have to, you can develop a point across A and B, or even 3 sub-paragraphs, and always remember the RIC rules. And the RIC rules are, when you're writing your paragraphs, this is the language of argument, so you are writing points that are relevant to the question under discussion. You are writing from a point of view of being informed, and your work is evidence-based. Your writing is as clear as you can possibly make it, and you're remembering in every paragraph not just to say things or to make points, but to explain why those points are relevant, tease them out. That's what the examiner means when they say analysis and illustrations. Tease out your points, think about their relevance to the question under discussion, show the examiner that you have an analytical mind. Okay, so that's the basic rules for writing an effective discursive essay.